Hello, thanks for joining me. This is the third part of a visit to the cemetery of an independent chapel in North Pembrokeshire in Wales. In this video I'm going to look at some of the symbols used on the Victorian gravestones and explain what they represent and why they were used. This cemetery has some of the sort of funerary monuments you would expect to find in any old British graveyard. There are crosses, headstones and obelisks. There are also some things that are rather unique. This chapel was founded in the Georgian era and there are a few Georgian headstones. By the way, the majority of the headstones here have been recited in rows rather arbitrarily, so that's why they're so close together. The Georgian headstones limit themselves to some text and are very plain. The further we get into the Victorian era, the more elaborately decorated they get. Let's look at the various symbols we find on the headstones here. We'll start with the most frequently occurring one, the Bible. The congregation here was very much steeped in the Bible. For some of them it would have been the only book they possessed, the book they learned to read from, and they would have been very familiar with it. For a Protestant congregation, some Christian symbols would have been regarded as potentially idolatrous or too Catholic, but the Bible was a safe and respectable choice for a symbol. There are various styles here, including piles of Bibles, and others have wording in Welsh. Another symbol we see here is a bunch of grapes. They represent Christ as the true vine. The heart obviously stands for love, but in Wales there is the famous hymn Calon Lan, or a pure heart, which may also be the thought behind this motif. If you look closely you can see the centre point for the mason's tool, which he used to carve out the circle. Two more designs now. The wreath, originally a Roman symbol, here used to indicate Christ's victory in death, and a harp of David, a favourite biblical character perhaps, or chosen as apt for a harpist or musician. There are trefoils indicating the Holy Trinity and plaques for text, here combined. Flowers sometimes have particular meanings, as in the language of flowers, but are more often than not just decorative. This poor wilting bloom, however, conveys the shortness of life. The clasped hands design is quintessentially Victorian. It symbolises hope of meeting again in heaven and is usually found on gravestones of a husband or wife. Here we see the joined hands of a man and a woman. Here two men, as it was the son who died before his father. Now we look at a feature of these headstones that you won't find elsewhere. A number of them have the word colofn, meaning column or pillar, at the top, followed by in memory of. And one says Bydd colofn, or grave column. We also see the word maen, meaning stone. Perhaps this was a local quirk started by a mason in the area. The stone for these probably came from the nearby quarries, with the exception of one, which is purple North Wales slate and has the high standard of carving associated with the North Wales slate works. There are some good examples of work amongst these, but there are also a few less than perfect examples. Here we see the mason missed out a letter. Here a 6 is the wrong way round, and this one seems to have been corrected twice. I wonder if they got charged the full amount or if a bit of money was knocked off for the mistakes. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like it and subscribe for more about Welsh curiosities.